We have some major breaking news as NASCAR could be looking to sell an equity stake of the company for the first time in the history of the sport. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to our video. We got some massive and major breaking news that has been reported that NASCAR could be looking to sell off part of the company for the first time in the history of the sport. It was reported by Adam Stern earlier today that Steve Phelps says that NASCAR, privately owned by the France family since 1948, could sell an equity stake of the company for the first time in its history in the coming years, and that he thinks the sport needs to pick up the pace on global expansion. This is absolutely huge. Now, I remember back about 5 or 6 years ago when there was a lot of rumors and speculation about Liberty Media potentially buying up the company. Inevitably, that did not end up happening. Now, why is this a huge story? Well, NASCAR has been owned by the France family pretty much head on since the beginning of the time back in 1948 and 1949. And the sport is now 77 years old, and the France family has continued to hold on direction of the sport since Jim France took over in 2018 when Brian France had an unceremonious exit from the sport after some things we're not going to talk about here. There's been a lot of people that have been saying that NASCARs need to be sold for a very, very long time and get different investors in the sport. My big question I have with this is, one, who could be looking to buy into the sport in the next couple of years? Could Michael Jordan be looking to buy into the sport? Obviously, 2011 Front Row, we know 2011 is owned by Michael Jordan. They're currently in a lawsuit with NASCAR currently at the moment right now. Could this lawsuit also be having a big effect on that? Is the judge currently, that Kenneth Bell, by the way, is he forcing them to potentially sell the company a little bit and make 2011 Front Row maybe get invested in the company? That could certainly be a major possibility for sure. Or is another big investor looking to come into the sport and buy it up like Liberty Media? Like I mentioned not too long ago, there's been a lot of rumors and speculation that Liberty Media is trying to get involved in the sport about 5 or 6 years ago. I think back in 2018 or 2019, there was a lot of chatter rumors that Liberty Media was looking to get in and buy up the sport and basically do what they did with Formula One. Could the Saudis be looking to get in? There's been a lot of talk about NASCAR maybe going down to Saudi Arabia by the end of the decade, and there could be racing down there. Could the Saudis, like they do with some of the stuff and the involvement they have with Formula One, could they be looking to buy it? I would not be a big fan of that, but the Saudis bring in a lot of money, so it wouldn't shock me and surprise me if that ended up happening. But this is absolutely some massive and really, really huge news. Now, I think someone else coming in and buying up the sport and making some changes, I don't think there's anything really wrong with that at this point. I do think the sport, there needs to be some changes with the way the business model goes. I think having someone come in that knows how to work a business model is something that really needs to be done. Like I said, the current business model in NASCAR is not sustainable at this moment right now. A lot of teams, while yes, the teams with the new charter agreement that has come into effect, they, of course, are getting a lot more money in this deal, but a lot of these teams have kind of gone up. And usually in racing, when it comes to money, you're going in and you're not going to make a ton of money. But I think these teams have been losing a lot of the money since the charter deal really came around about 10 years ago. So I think that's one reason why some of these rumors are coming up currently at the moment. Now, I think something like this probably won't be done in 2025 or 2026, but I think in the next couple of years, especially with a lot of talk of a bunch of new investors coming into the sport, I do think you're going to start seeing a lot more investors showing up and buying it. We've seen Gamebridge come in recently, right? They're working heavily with Spire Motorsports, which the Gamebridge branding, which is owned by Dan Towers, is in with the Guggenheim brand, which they own the Los Angeles Dodgers and a ton of other companies. We've seen new investors come in with Trackhouse Racing. Mark Lasbury from the Avenue Sports Group, they've been working with Trackhouse Racing, bringing a lot of money in over there. I think that's a major reason why Red Bull has come in, though they have association with Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilisch. You've seen with Joe Gibbs Racing, the Harris Blitzer Group come in very recently. Could one of these big investment groups be looking to buy up NASCAR? The one I'm really kind of honing on at the moment right now is Liberty Media. Liberty Media, they own a lot of different companies. They've taken over MotoGP in recent years. They've got Formula One. They've had Formula One ownership since 2017. Could Liberty Media be the ones trying to play the role here to take over the sport? I do worry about Liberty Media coming in because will say this with Formula One. Yes, they've been able to grow in the U.S., and I think their promotion in the U.S. has generally been really good to grow the sport of Formula One, and I think that's one area NASCAR is really having trouble with at the moment is growing its stars in the United States. Most people don't know who a Ross Chastain is unless you see the ads from Busch. Most people don't know who a Carson Hocevar is, but people outside the NASCAR bubble don't really know who Kyle Larson is or Chase Elliott is. So that's something certainly interesting for sure. The only big household names many people know at the moment are probably Bubba Wallace from the incident that happened not too long ago, and Kyle Busch, who's been around the sport for 20 years at this point. And Denny Hamlin, of course, is probably a little bit more known from the Netflix show. But when it comes to the future of the sport as a whole, you got to think about this, right? I think that there are things that do need to change overall with the sport. And maybe with the new group coming in to try to maybe help with some of those changes, I think that's honestly something that could help the sport grow in a pretty massive and kind of a big way too. So it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of plays out, right? A new investment group coming in to try to figure out what's going to happen with the sport. I think that is certainly interesting, right? And I wonder who that big company is that is trying to grow the sport and maybe make a better place. NASCAR, I think, wants to get back to where it was a very, very long time ago. It has been such a long time since sport was at its peak. And I think if you had a new investment group come in and make changes, because I think where the sport is right now, I think it has been, no denying this, the sport, I think in some areas has been going in the right direction. They've got good people over there working NASCAR. I don't think all the people over there suck. I think there's a lot of people over there currently at the moment who do a really good job trying to grow and develop the sport and make it a much better place. But I do think there need to be changes made for the sport to be in even a much better position. And I think having an investment group down the road come in the next couple of years, try to come in, I think that would be absolutely pretty huge to see. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of years, because I don't think NASCAR is going to sell off right away. But I think the fact there's talks and conversations about this, we've also heard rumors about a new generation of car coming in down the road. This tells you the sport is looking toward the future. And I think when it comes to global expansion too, getting to that for a second, I think that that's something we do need to keep an eye on out as well. There's a lot of talk about NASCAR going to Canada for 2026. There were rumors about them going to Montreal for 2025. That did not inevitably happen, unfortunately, but we're going to Mexico City this year. And we're also, of course, there's a lot of rumors that NASCAR is going to be going to Interlagos. They're talking about going overseas to the UK potentially down the road, maybe going to Le Mans, maybe also going to Saudi Arabia, unfortunately. So that's something to watch for down the road as well, because I think NASCAR is going to be looking to expand in a pretty global way in 2026. So I think there's a lot of things that are about to change for the sport. Whether they're good or not, we'll have to kind of wait and see on that front. But I think there's certainly a lot of things to keep your eyes out on in regards to the future of the sport, where the sport's going to head, where the direction of the sport is going. But the fact that NASCAR could be looking to sell off here in the next couple of years, I think that's absolutely one of the biggest things to kind of watch out for. Which company could be looking to invest in down the road, and which companies could be working with the sport in the not so distant future to buy an investment stock in the sport. So that is going to be today's special breaking news report on NASCAR potentially being sold off. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video does go live on my channel. Follow me Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. List description below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What company do you think could go ahead and invest in NASCAR and take over some of the ownership duties in the state? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're most likely going to have race picks videos on the channel, doing race picks for the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. On Wednesday, I'm probably going to have the Daytona 500 race picks dropping, along with most likely NASCAR news video as well. We're probably also on Thursday going to have paint scheme video for the Daytona 500, and we'll have reactions to the duels. Friday should have a NASCAR news video dropping. We've got race reviews for the Daytona 500, the Xfinity race, the Truck race. We've got content on people like Hailie Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott coming soon. Hendrick Motorsports 2011 front row with the lawsuit, Michael Jordan, Chandler Smith, Eric Almirola, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Connor Zilic, other big names like Cletus McFarland, Matt DiBenedetto, Frankie Muniz, like I said, Hailie Deegan, all that stuff, Tony Breininger, all that good stuff will be coming out on the channel really, really soon. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.